Hello, my dear students. Welcome you all to Sri Jayendra Rank Zone classes. I'm your mentor and your friend for the subject biology, and I will be taking the zoology part, that is animal science. My dear students, in the last lecture, we have started alimentary canal. We discussed about different parts of alimentary canal. We landed up with the parts of stomach, that is stiff glands. The physiological function will be discussed in the later coming videos. Today we are going to start with the anatomical features of colon. So colon, as we have already started the large intestine. So colon, cecum, it is a part of large intestine. It continues in the colon. Colon is the middle part of the large intestine. Okay, the first part is cecum. Cecum, it merges into colon. The colon is the middle part. The longitudinal muscles, or we can say there is a coat of longitudinal muscles which forms three ribbon-like bands known as tinea coli. Okay, please remember this term. This is a very important term. Okay, the longitudinal muscular coat, it forms three ribbon-like bands known as tinea coli. Due to the presence of tinea coli, pouch-like structure develops. Pouch-like structure develops in the lumen of colon known as hostra. Okay, so there are two terms. One is hostra, which is a pouch-like structure, and one is tinea coli. Tinea coli is basically ribbon-like bands, which are known as what? Tinea coli. So there are three ribbon-like bands known as tinea coli, and there is a pouch-like structure which is known as what? Hostra. Hostra is present in the lumen of colon, and the tinea coli, it is produced by the longitudinal muscular coat. Okay. This colon then continues in a uniform tube. It then further continues to form a uniform tube, which is known as what? Rectum. Okay. Rectum is meant for storage for feces. Okay. So the feces, the solid waste, it is stored in rectum. The solid waste is stored in rectum. So cecum merges into colon. Colon is the middle part of the large intestine. The longitudinal muscular coat of colon forms three ribbon-like bands known as tinea coli. Tinea coli further makes a pouch-like structure which is known as what? Hostra, which is present in the lumen of colon. The colon continues to form rectum. Rectum is meant for the storage of feces, that is solid waste. Now coming to the next slide. Rectum. Rectum, it opens into a small bag-like structure called anal canal. Okay, so the rectum is the terminal part. Terminal part. Rectum is the terminal part. Okay, the rectum is the terminal part. It is a small bag-like structure which opens into anal canal. In rabbit, rectum is beaded shape in appearance. In rabbit, rectum is beaded shaped in appearance. So in rabbit, rectum is like a beaded shape, like this. Okay, anal canal opens outside by the anus. Anus is controlled by anal sphincter. The opening and closing of anus is controlled by anal sphincter. Two types of anal sphincter are found at the opening of anus. Okay, so the rectum, it opens into a small bag-like structure known as anal canal. In rabbit, the rectum is beaded shape. Anal canal opens into anus. Anus is controlled by anal sphincter. There are two types of anal sphincter which guard the opening of anus. These two types of sphincter muscles, they are found in anal canal: the internal anal sphincter and external anal sphincter. Internal anal sphincter is involuntary. It is involuntary. So I for internal and I for involuntary. I for internal and I for involuntary. Please remember. And the external anal sphincter is voluntary. Okay. So internal is involuntary and external is voluntary. Okay. When internal anal canal, the opening and the closing mean the functioning, it cannot be controlled by us. We cannot control it. Okay, it is involuntary, outside our willpower. And external anal sphincter is voluntary. We can control the opening and closing of it. The opening of anal sphincter helps in opening of anal sphincter helps in voiding of urine, which is known as what? Micturition. Okay, now coming to next. This is the histology of alimentary canal. Okay, the histology part and the questions on histology part are always been the part of the NEET exams every time. Okay, this part is quite confusing, but with the help of this diagram, I'll try to make simple. I'll try to make it simple for you. Okay, so the first thing what you have to remember, the different layers. Okay, what are the different layers? Okay, the first thing is that you have to remember this lamina propria. Okay, so the first name you have to remember is lamina propria. Okay, so the elementary of canal, when you can see this is the lamina propria. These are the villi. These are the villi. These villi are finger-like projections. Okay. Then in between the villi, you can see there is a globular shaped crypt, mean a kind of we can say a cavity or a uh, hole. Okay, not a complete hole, but it is just a pouch-like structure which sags down. This is known as what? Crypt of liver cone. This is known as what? Crypt of liver cone. Okay. So the first thing you have to remember is lamina propria, then the crypt of Libercun. Okay, then Paneth cells. These are very important. Attached to crypt of Libercun are present Paneth cells. Okay. Now next is Peyer's patches. Peyer's patches are basically we can say they are gut associated lymphoid tissue. Gut associated lymphoid tissue. GALT. Okay. So Peyer's patches they are gut associated lymphoid tissue. Okay. Then coming to next. Brunner's gland. Then we have Brunner's gland. You can see Brunner's gland. See, the Brunner's gland, they are present in the submucosal region. They are present in the submucosal region. So, a very important question always, when every time they are going to ask that where is the presence of Brunner's gland, okay, or the Brunner's gland, the main function of Brunner's gland is to secrete mucus, okay, and it is present in the submucosal region of the alimentary canal. Then blood vessels. Paneth cells and crypts of lubricant, they are present in the mucosal part. Okay. Lamina propria is present on the mucosal part. Okay. And then after Peyer's patches is gut associated lymphoid tissue. Then we have blood vessels. Then Mesner's plexus, which is the and aerobics plexus, which is the nerve or neural plexus, nerve supply of alimentary canal. Okay. So Mesner's plexus and Arabic plexus, they are the neural plexuses. They are the nerve supplies of the alimentary canal. Okay. The first part is mucosa. As we can see, we can divide it into mucosa, submucosa. Okay. Then mucosal part is basically consisting of lamina propria. Okay. Crypts of Lubercun, Paneth cells, Peyer's patches. Okay. Some of the crypts of Libercun, you can see the crypts of Libercun, they merges, they sag down, they come down from mucosa into submucosa and they make what? The Brunner's gland, right? Then we have blood vessels. In the submucosal part, we have blood vessels and nerve fibers, okay? And then we have oblique muscles. So this oblique muscle is a added muscle. Okay, it is absent in, you can say, the it is absent in the esophagus. So oblique muscle is present in alimentary canal along with circular muscles and longitudinal muscles. Okay, so it is present in the alimentary canal, right? So oblique muscles, then the circular muscles, then the longitudinal muscles, they are present in the uh, alimentary muscle. mm, they are not present in we can say the oblique muscles, they are absent in esophagus, but circular muscles and longitudinal muscles they are present. Then oblique muscles, they are present in the stomach. Okay, only the stomach part of the alimentary canal consists of the oblique muscles, then circular muscles and the longitudinal muscles. Okay, along with serosa. Serosa is absent in, serosa is absent in two places. One of the places esophagus. Okay, so serosa is absent in esophagus. Serosa is present in stomach. It is present in duodenum. It is present in jejunum and ileum. Means rectum part, the large intestinal rectum part is also not having serosa. Okay, the anal region. Okay, then tunica adventitia. Tunica adventitia is the last part. Okay, you can see the it is the basement part where the uh, all the layers they rest upon. Okay, so the first part is lamina propria, which lies in the mucosal part. Then muscularis mucus or mucosa muscularis. It is the layer which is present. After it is followed by the submucosal regions, and submucosal regions is followed by the different muscular layer in which the oblique muscles are only and only present in stomach. Okay, they are only present in stomach. Okay, while circular muscles and the longitudinal muscles they are present in the other regions like esophagus, stomach. When they are common in esophagus, stomach, all the regions of alimentary canal except oblique muscles, right? Serosa is absent in esophagus. Please remember this point. This has been a part of question every time. Okay, serosa is a layer which is absent in esophagus and it is present in stomach, duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. Okay, the large intestinal region, especially the rectum part, the anal canal part, is not having the serosal layer. Okay, then Arabic plexus and Merson's plexus, they are the neural plexus, mean they are the neural supplies, nerve supplies of the alimentary canal. Brunner's gland, they are present in the submucosal region. Peyer's patches, they are the gut associated lymphoid tissue. Then Payne's cells and the crypts of Liverpool, they are present in the mucosal region. Villi, you can see the finger-like projections along with finger-like projections. We have a sac-like structure, which is a crypt of Liverpool. So this is the histology of alimentary canal. Moving to the next slide. This is a three-dimensional view of different layers of stomach. Okay, mucosa, submucosa, and muscularis. Okay, muscularis simply means the layer which is having muscles. Okay, be it is a oblique muscle layer, it is a circular muscle layer, it is a longitudinal muscle layer. Oblique muscle layer is not present in the esophagus, while stomach is only having the oblique muscle fibers, right? Then you can see this is a three-dimensional view of layers of stomach. The terminal region or the region which opens into the cavity. This is the gastric pits. These gastric pits they are filled with the secretions, gastric gland secretions. It is lined by simple columnar epithelium. You can see simple columnar epithelium. So the gastric pits or the gastric lining is basically made up of simple columnar epithelium. As it is glandular, okay, so it should have either columnar or cuboidal. Columnar makes it more mechanical resistant towards different abrasions of acids and other injuries. The simple columnar epithelium, it is present in the internal lining of stomach. Okay, then comes the lamina propria, which is the outermost part. As I have shown you in the previous slide, the lamina propria is the outermost part, which is followed by the epithelial layer, that is simple columnar epithelium. Then we have gastric glands, right? So we have different types of gastric glands, okay? And these gastric glands, they are supposed to your they are concerned with different secretions, okay, different gastric secretions, right? Then lymphatic nodules, which are the lymph nodes. So these lymph nodes are the local fighters from infection. These are local fighters from infection, okay, lymph nodules or lymph nodes. Then muscularis mucosa, you can see the muscularis mucosa. It's a very thin layer, okay, muscularis mucosa, on which the mucosal layer rests upon. Okay, then lymphatic vessels, we are having lymphatic vessels. Then venules means the veins they merges to find small diameter veins. There is what venules. Then arterioles. Then oblique layer of muscle as it is present. You can see the fibers, they are oblique. Okay, like fibers. If I make a section, the fibers they are with oblique striation like this. Okay, so all these muscles are they are smooth muscles. Okay, oblique layer of muscle, then circular layer of muscle. This is circular layer of muscles, and the myntric plexus and the aerobic plexus. Okay, then longitudinal layer of muscle. This is the longitudinal layer of muscles. Okay, so this is the three-dimensional view section which gives you an idea that these muscles are present: mucosa, submucosa, muscularis, and serosa. Muscularis mucosa, it is the region which connects the submucosal region, which connects the uh, mucosal region to the underlying tissues. Okay, so the muscularis mucosa, it is the region which connects the mucosal region to the muscularis region. Okay, so mucosa, which is followed by submucosa, submucosa, which is followed by muscularis mucosa. Muscularis mucosa connects the submucosa to the muscular layers, then muscularis layer, and then the serosa layer. So these are the layers of stomach. Okay. Now coming to the next slide, histology of alimentary canal. Okay, as we have seen in the diagram. Okay, I have shown you prior. Okay, now I will we will refer some points which need to be remembered every time while writing the or giving the examinations. Like wall of the alimentary canal is made up of four layers. They are made up of four layers, outer to inner. if we move from outer to inner wall, okay, then the outer layer is serosa, which is the outermost part. It is the outermost layer of the gut. It is called the tunica adventitia. Okay, you can see in the picture. I'll show you the serosa layer. This is the serosa layer, okay, or in the previous slide, this is the tunica adventitia. Okay, tunica adventitia, right? So the outermost part is the outermost layer of the gut is serosa, which is called also known as tunica adventitia, but it is known as tunica adventitia in esophagus, and serosa is made up of visceral peritoneum. Very important. It is made up of visceral peritoneum, while tunica adventitia is made up of white fibrous connective tissue. So serosa layer is absent in esophagus, and that is why esophagus is having tunica adventitia. Serosa is made up of visceral peritoneum, while tunica adventitia is made up of white fibrous connective tissue. It is not like that serosa is equivalent to tunica adventitia. Tunica adventitia is the analog of serosal layer which is present in esophagus and which is made up of white fibrous connective tissue, while serosa or the cells of the serosal layer, they are basically made up of visceral peritoneum, right? Then the muscular layer. Then comes the muscular layer. It is formed by circular muscles which are inner and the longitudinal muscles which are outer. Okay, and they are smooth muscular layers. Okay, so muscular layer, it is made up of circular inner muscles and longitudinal outer muscles made up of smooth muscles. The thickest layer is found in stomach. The thickest layer of muscles is found in stomach, okay, which is responsible for maximum peristalsis, and thinnest layer is in the rectum, which is uh, for minimum peristalsis. Okay, so the maximum peristalsis and minimum peristalsis. So for maximum peristalsis, it is the layer which is present in the stomach, which is thickest, in more diameter, okay, for maximum peristalsis, and the thinnest layer in rectum is for minimum peristalsis. Okay, understood? Now, submucosa. Okay, submucosa, it is the loose connective tissue layer. It is the loose connective tissue layer, okay, with blood, lymph vessels, and nerves. It is the loose connective tissue layer which is made up of lymph vessels, okay, and nerve fibers. So, submucosal layer is the loose connective tissue layer. Loose connective tissue. Submucosa is the loose connective tissue. Muscular layer is made up of smooth muscles, maximum diameter at the region of stomach and minimum diameter at the region of rectum, right? Then submucosal layer, which is the loose connective tissue layer, okay. Then the submucosal layer, it is having the blood, lymph vessels, and the nerves. It is having blood, lymph vessels, and the nerves. Understood? Now, mucosa. Mucosa is the innermost layer of the gut. Mucosa, it is the innermost layer of the gut, and this mucosal layer, it is further supported by the it helps in the making of different types of mucus secretion cells like the Paneth cells, like the crypts of liver. Mucosa, it is the innermost layer of the gut which contains the secretory and absorptive cells, which contains the secretory and absorptive cells. Okay, innermost layer of the gut which contains the secretory and absorptive cells. So the serosal layer, the muscular layer, the submucosal layer, and the mucosal layer. Mucosal layer is the innermost layer of the gut which contains the secretory and absorptive cells, right? Now, moving to the next slide, it is differentiated into three parts. So the histology says, it is differentiated into three parts. The outer part, which is known as what, the mucosa muscularis, it is made up of longitudinal circular muscles. Okay, the mucosa muscularis, it is made up of longitudinal circular muscles, but these muscles are vestigial. These muscles are vestigial, they are non-functional. Non-functional. They only provide to support the folds of alimentary canal. They help to support the folds of the alimentary canal. Understood? So the outer part, the last part of the mucosa part is just further subdivided into three parts. The outer part, which is known as what, mucosa muscularis, it is made up of longitudinal circular muscles, but these muscles are vestigial. They don't have any physiologic function. Okay, they only help in they only help in supporting the folds of alimentary canal. Then middle part, which is known as what? Lamina propria. Middle part, which is basically known as what? Lamina propria. The middle part is known as what? Lamina propria. Okay. It is made up of the lamina propria. It is made up of reticulate and fibrous connective tissue. So middle part is basically lamina propria, and it is made up of reticulate fibers and fibrous connective tissue. Okay. The outer part is mucosa muscularis. It is made up of circular muscles and longitudinal muscles, but these muscles are vestigial. Mean longitudinal circular muscles, but these muscles are vestigial. Okay. So they only provide support to the folds of alimentary canal. Then middle part called lamina propria. Middle part is known as what? Lamina propria. This lamina propria is made up of the reticulate fibers and fibrous connective tissue. So the mucosa is further subdivided into three parts: the outer part, the middle part, and the innermost part. The outer part, the mucosa muscularis. Okay. The inner part, the middle part is the lamina propria. Okay. The innermost part is called mucosal layer. The innermost part is known as what? Mucosal layer. In esophagus, this layer is made up of non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. In case of esophagus, the innermost part of mucosa, that is mucosal layer, it is made up of non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. Non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, right? Except esophagus, this layer is single layer thick. Okay. In esophagus, only the mucosal layer, it is having thickness of multiple layers, but apart from esophagus, the layer, mean the mucosal layer, it is only having the cells which are arranged in a single layer. So it is single layer thick. This layer makes the lining of lumen of alimentary canal. This layer basically makes the lining of lumen of alimentary canal. This layer makes the fold of alimentary canal. And these folds are basically supported by the outermost layer. Okay. So this layer makes the folds of alimentary canal. Okay. Folds of esophagus are less developed. Folds of esophagus are less developed. Okay. Folds of stomach are finger shaped. Folds of stomach are finger shaped. Folds of small intestine are conical shaped, called villi. Okay. So folds of stomach are finger shaped. Folds of esophagus are less developed. Folds of small intestine are conical shaped, which are known as what? Villi. There is a small slit-like space which is found at the base of villi. There is a small slit-like space which is found at the base of the villi. These spaces are called crypts of liver, as I have shown in the figure. Okay, you can relate to the figure as well. Okay, the innermost layer is the mucosal layer. Then the folds. Folds of esophagus are less developed. Folds of stomach are, finger shaped, and folds of small intestine, they are conical shaped, called villi. There is a small slit-like space at the base of the villi, which is known as what? Crypts of Liverpool. Villi of duodenum are small and blunt. Okay, villi of duodenum, they are small and blunt. Villi of jejunum and ileum are long and pointed. Villi of duodenum, they are blunt. Okay, and they are small. While the villi of jejunum and ileum, they are long and pointed. Maximum villi are found in jejunum. Maximum villi are found at jejunum. Okay. So in esophagus, the mucosal layer, it is non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, and apart from esophagus, all the parts, different parts of alimentary canal, they are having, keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. Except esophagus, this layer is single layer thick. Okay, this layer makes the lining of the alimentary canal. This layer makes the folds of the alimentary canal. This layer makes the folds of the alimentary canal. Folds of esophagus are less developed. Folds of alimentary canal, when like stomach, they are finger shaped. Folds of small intestine, they are conical shaped, called villi. The small slit-like apertures which are found at the base of the villi, these are known as what? Crypts of Liverpool. Villi of duodenum are small and blunt. Villi of jejunum and ileum are long and pointed. And maximum villi to increase the maximum absorptive surface area in jejunum, while the maximum absorption happens in the region. Okay. Now coming to the next slide. These points, I hope everything is clear. Now coming to the next slide. Brunner's gland. Very, very, very important. I'll mark a give an important sign, right? Brunner's gland, these are the small spherical multicellular glands. Yeah, my dear students, you have to remember this. Multicellular. So these are small spherical multicellular glands. They open into crypts of Libercun. Okay, so the terminal part of these multicellular glands, or the Brunner's gland, is basically connected to the crypts of liver cone with the help of fine tubules. With the help of fine tubules. Okay, so the Brunner's gland, they are small, spherical, multicellular glands. They open into crypts of liver cone with the help of fine tubules. These glands are found in the submucosa and the mucosa of duodenum. Okay, these glands, they are found in the submucosal region and the mucosal region of duodenum. Okay, they synthesize and secrete the non-enzymatic secretion of intestinal juices. Very, very important. Non-enzymatic secretions of intestinal juice. Okay, so the Brunner's gland, they are small, they are spherical, they are multicellular. They opens into crypts of liver cone with the help of fine tubules. These glands are found in submucosa and mucosal region of duodenum. The glands are present in the submucosa and with the mucosal region of the duodenum. Then they synthesize and secrete the non-enzymatic secretion of intestinal juices. Here is the picture. We can see the mucosa, submucosa, muscularis externa, serosa, circular muscle layer, longitudinal muscle layer, and these finger-like projections. Okay, understood? So these are Brunner's gland, right? Pennant cells. Now, these cells are found in mucosal layer of crypts of liver cone of jejunum. Pennant cells, they are found in the mucosal layer of crypts of liver cone of jejunum. So they are present in the mucosal layer. Mucosal layer of what? They are present in the mucosal layer of crypts of liver cone of jejunum. They are unicellular, while Brunner's gland are multicellular. So Pennant cells are unicellular. Brunner's gland multicellular. The penis cells, they are present in the crypts of liver cone, okay, of jejunum. They synthesize and secrete enzymes of intestinal juices. So the enzymatic secretion is basically conducted forward by penis cells, and the non-enzymatic secretion is basically provoked by the Brunner's gland. They secrete the intest substances of Brunner's gland, and penis cells are combinedly called intestinal juice. Okay, so what is intestinal juice? The secretion of Brunner's gland, which is non-enzymatic. Maybe it can be mucus or some other kind of secretion, and the penis cells, which basically produce what? Intestinal enzymatic secretions. Okay, they are unicellular. They secrete enzymatic secretions together with the secretions of Brunner's gland, the secretions of Pennant cells. They form intestinal juices. Peyer's patches. These are small lymph nodes which are found in the mucosa of small intestine. Peyer's patches, they are small lymph nodes which are found in the mucosa of small intestine. Jejunum and ileum more in number. Okay, so they are small lymph nodes which are found in the mucosa of small intestine, like jejunum and ileum, and which are more in number. These are also called intestinal tonsils. They are also called intestinal tonsils and provide immunity. So Peyer's patches, they are gut associated lymphoid tissues. Okay, or we can say they are the lymphoid organs which help to provoke the immunity. These are small lymph nodes which are found in the mucosa of small intestine, jejunum and ileum more in number. They are also called intestinal tonsils and provide immunity, right? So peanut cells, Brunner's gland, both of the secretions, they combine to form the intestinal juices. Okay, the peanut cells, the secretions of peanut cells are enzymatic, while the secretions of Brunner's gland are non-enzymatic. Peanut cells, they are unicellular. Brunner's gland, they are multicellular. Okay, understood? Nerve supply. There are two types of nerve plexus which are found in the muscles of alimentary canal. These control muscular contraction. Aerobics nerve plexus. This nerve plexus is found between longitudinal muscles and circular muscles. So aerobics nerve plexus, which is present between the longitudinal muscular layer and the circular muscular layer. Meissner's nerve plexus, which is found in between the circular muscles and the submucosa, but in the stomach it is found between oblique muscles and submucosa. So please remember, there are two types of nerve plexus which are found in muscles of alimentary canal. First is the aerobics nerve plexus. The second is Meissner's nerve plexus. Aerobics nerve plexus, this nerve plexus is found between the longitudinal and circular. They are present between the longitudinal muscular layer and the circular muscular layer. Meissner's nerve plexus, it is present in the submucosa and the circular muscular layer. Okay, while in stomach it is present between the oblique muscles and the submucosa. Okay, so other than stomach, The Mesenter's nerve plexus is present in the circular muscular layer and the submucosa, while in the stomach it is present between the oblique muscles and the submucosa. Okay, the Arabic nerve plexus and the Mesenter's nerve plexus. So we will be starting liver in the next class in the next one. Till then, please take care of yourself. Bye bye. Take care. Stay safe.